What's up, YouTube? My name is bigboysnacksjonnytv, aka Wakanda Snatch One, because I got playing around. As you can tell by the title of the thumbnail, this is my AEW Dynamite review on highlights. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys please full watch the entire video from all the way from the beginning or towards the end. If you are new here that likes wrestling, hit that subscribe button for more every week wrestling content I do on the channel, because I'm on the road to 11K before December. Follow my WWE, go check out my WWE NXT review on highlights and follow all my social media down below in the description. Without further ado, let's get started. Now, AEW Dynamite was a good show for what it was, and I give this show a 7 out of 10. Now, AEW Dynamite was live from Baltimore, Maryland. It is Wednesday, my dudes. You know what that means. Commentary welcomes us to the show and give us a look at the lineup for tonight's as we head to ringside for our opening match. Will Ospreay makes his entrance first to a big pop as he teams with his brothers, the United Empire, to take on the Don Callis family in the first of two trios matches for the night. That group, Francisco, Akira, and Heener, makes their way out to round out the team, heading to the ring to a nice reaction from the crowd. Out comes Brian Cage, Rocky Romero, and Lance Archer to what I can best describe as the brown noise that is Don's theme, entering the ring to chant, you know what, Don Callis, before we get this match underway. So we get a 6-man tag team match. Will Ospreay, Francisco Akira, and Heener versus the Don Callis family, Brian Cage, Rocky Romero, and Lance Archer. This was a fun 6-man tag team match. Will Ospreay and Brian Cage start things off with Brian sending Will Ospreay to the corner for some shoulders charged. Will Ospreay escapes, getting an opening within Enziguri that sends Brian Cage flying to his corner. Tag made to Rocky Romero, and Will Ospreay tags in Akira, and takes Azuskar down hard for a near fall. Tag made to Heener, and Rocky Romero immediately tags out to Lance Archer. The two big men trade forearms and elbow strikes before Heener tries to take Lance Archer off his feet, only for Lance Archer to level Heener with a shoulder tackle off his own. He sends Heener to the corner for some chops before Heener fights out of the corner with some of his own. He ends up dropping Lance Archer to a knee with a kick before tagging in Will Ospreay, and they double team Lance Archer before tagging in Akira for a 3 that gets a near fall. Well, for a 2 count that gets a near fall. Lance Archer back to his feet, sending Akira down hard before knocking Will Ospreay and Heener off the apron as we go to commercial break. Brian Cage and Akira back in the ring as the machine makes short work of Francisco. Akira managed to dodge Brian Cage, who bumps into Lance Archer as a result. This gives a chance to make the tag to Heener, who lands some hard shots on Brian Cage. Brian Cage dodged a kick for a roll up, but Heener rolls through and lands a kick on the machine anyway. Lance Archer gets the tag as he goes after Heener, sending him to the corner for a blackout, but Heener counters into a deadlift German suplex. Lance Archer is back up and makes a tag to Rocky Romero just as Will Ospreay gets the tag as well. Will Ospreay gets some shots in on Rocky Romero for a near fall. As the rest of the field comes in, chaos ensues as they trade shots on each other, eventually leaving us with Rocky Romero and Will Ospreay. Rocky Romero tries to use the referee as a shield, but ends up getting taken to the mat by Akira. Lance Archer and Brian Cage come in, but gets sent right back outside for a dive by Akira. Rocky Romero is back up, charging to the corner for what ends up just being a pose, and this costs him as he is blindsided by a hidden blade from Will Ospreay for the win. The winner of the match by pinfall, Will Ospreay, Francisco Akira, and Heener. This was a fun 6-man tag team match. Ospreay celebrates the win with some fans in the front row as he is joined by his pals. We're reminded of the three-way match for the international title at All In. And backstage, we hear from Okada about it. Okada always says nothing is more important than family. Unlike Konosuke Takeshita, who left the family because he is too selfish. Kyle Fletcher isn't willing to make the same mistake because he understands that the only thing that matters is the title stays in the Don Callis family. If the match ends with Kyle Fletcher retaining the title, he'll be happy for Kyle Fletcher, but if it ends with Okada becoming the new champion, Kyle Fletcher should be happy for Okada and raise his hand. With that, we head to ringside as Tony Schiavone introduced Kyle Fletcher. Tony wants to get the champ thoughts on what Okada said moments ago, and Kyle Fletcher said, "We're in the midst of the greatest international champion reign of all time. There's no reason to think it will end anytime soon, especially not at Wembley Stadium." He agrees with Okada that family means everything, and he trusts Don Callis enough to trust his plan. Trust this plan. The crowd lets Kyle Fletcher know what they think with the F Don Callis chant, and Kyle Fletcher says that Okada needs to know his role in this. If he's a man of his word, he believes family is all that matters. He'll make sure that Kyle Fletcher back in, making sure he retains the title. There's one other thing they have in common, and that's they hate Konosuke Takeshita. He pokes fun at the Alpha losing the G1 claiming, but is interrupted by the arrival of Konosuke Takeshita, who makes a beeline for the ring. Sure enough, the two go at each other until Kyle Fletcher lands a half and half on the Alpha. He hits the ropes looking for another shot, but runs into a blue thunderbomb by Takeshita. They counter holds before Kyle Fletcher gets sent into the corner, setting him up for a poison rana by Takeshita, followed by a power drive knee and a raging fire. Takeshita stands tall over the champ, holding his title up high as commentary wonders where Okada is. Commentary hypes up what else is to come tonight. I think my feed got some weird audio glitches before we go to commercial break. It says, SpaghettiOs, the Fed is completely devoid of audio right until we cut away from ringside 4. So we get Renee Paquette sit-down interview with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. This was a good sit-down interview. I enjoyed this segment. Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega talk about their history together to start things off. Sometimes after facing each other in PWG, they went at it again in New Japan Pro Wrestling a couple of years back at Wrestle Kingdom. Something that Kenny Omega addresses as fans thinking he was facing the new face of the company. Kenny Omega says that the company did not see Will Ospreay's name alone as drawing people in, needing to bring Kenny Omega in. Will Ospreay addresses the difference in conditions they had during their respective eras, particularly focused on how they handled things in the midst of the COVID pandemic. He addresses having to take 15 hours flight to stay in a hotel no bigger than a broom closet for 2 weeks just to compete. Whereas Kenny Omega got spoiled on 3-hour drives, Kenny Omega resorts by saying that things were rough in America during that time thanks to the lack of fans, among other things. And even if fans could cheer in Japan, there's no telling if they would. They fast forward to 5 months past that with Kenny Omega addresses their match at Forbidden Door. Kenny Omega runs Will Ospreay down for recruiting Don Callis for that match. They go back and forth about how they embarrass each other at different points, and the fact that Don Callis got involved near the end. Will Ospreay admits that it bothers him how fans called that a tame victory, and with Kenny Omega forgiving Will Ospreay for it. He says that All In is not a rubber match since all for intents and purpose he's already beaten Will Ospreay twice. This is just a desperate attempt for Will Ospreay to prove he's on Kenny Omega's level. The topic turns to Kenny Omega's life and Cheers as charged since dealing with divercults, something Kenny Omega is annoyed about, as he admits he had to change, but it's for the better. He asks Will Ospreay is it if he's fully healed from that broken neck of his, running the challenger down some more before Will Ospreay cuts him off for bringing up MJF in all this. He talks about proving that he can become the first Englishman to win the world title on home soil, and doing so without the help of Don Callis or the Death Riders. He knows he can't do this on his own, but Kenny Omega says that he's already proven he can't beat Kenny Omega, and this time it will be in front of his family. He says that win, lose, or draw, he's sure Will Ospreay's mom will be proud of him, but his son might need to find a new hero when his dad can't win the title. Will Ospreay is held back from going after the champ as Dynamite continues on. That was a good segment, but I think Kenny Omega took it way too far. But that was a good sit-down interview by Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. I enjoyed that sit-down interview segment. Back at ringside, Hikaru Shida makes her entrance for our next match. As Persephone makes her entrance, we get a promo from earlier as the pair addresses what happened at AEW Collision. Chris Statlander makes her way to the ring. Next, Maya World rounds out the competitors as we get this match underway. So we get a TBS Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Maya World versus Persephone versus Hikaru Shida versus Chris Statlander. And this Fatal 4-Way match, I ain't even gonna lie to you, this was a pretty good, not pretty good, but this was a good Fatal 4-Way match. Persephone and Maya World fight to the outside as Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander go at it, with Hikaru catching Chris Statlander with an insecurity, sending her off the apron. Hikaru Shida goes after the champ, but is quickly sent to the outside as well. Before Persephone gives it her best shot, she's sent to the corner, but sends the champ to the outside with a head scissors before going for a dive. Hikaru Shida cuts it off, but both are taken down by the champ, only for Persephone to gain control as she drops My World to the floor. Hikaru Shida brings My World back into the ring as we go to commercial break. Back in the ring, Chris Statlander is trapped in a headlock by Persephone. Chris Statlander starts to break free before Persephone drops her in the mat with a suplex for a 2. Hikaru Shida comes into the ring as Persephone is sent to the outside and sends Maya World to the corner. The two fight it out until Chris Statlander comes in, dropping the champ on the mat. In comes Persephone, but she and Hikaru Shida taken down with a crossbody by Chris Statlander. Maya World and Chris Statlander trade strikes until Chris Statlander gets the champ on her shoulders, only to be dropped by Hikaru Shida, forcing the Maya World to the outside. Falcon Arrow by Hikaru Shida, but in comes Persephone to break the pin. She and Hikaru Shida fight it out for position, and Persephone dodges Hikaru Shida to send her into the corner with a drop kick. My World goes after her and catches Persephone for a 2 before Hikaru Shida breaks it up. Hikaru Shida and Persephone now fight it out. Their alliance is breaking down after recent events as Persephone goes for a BT bomb, but Chris Statlander running and pulling Hikaru Shida down before sending her out of the ring. She turns her attention to Persephone for a near fall before My World breaks it up. Chris Statlander turns her attention to the champ for a Wednesday night favor, but My World counters clutching deep for the pin to retain. The winner by pinfall and still your TBS champion, My World. This was a good fatal four-way match for the TBS championship. The champ celebrates as commentary hypes up what's next, as well as the AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions match at AEW All In. Speaking of, we hear from the Brawling Birds as they address dealing with Divine Dominion ahead of their title match. They look forward to beating the champs at Wembley and having quite the celebration as the AEW Dynamite rolls on. Alright, back at ringside, Jay White makes his way out for our first Continental Challenge Cup quarterfinals of the evening. John Moxley makes his entrance next, getting the pep talk from Maria Shafir before heading through the crowd towards ringside. Renee Paquette is backstage addressing that Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy are watching this match closely ahead of their match on Collision before we get things underway back in the ring. So we get the next match. So we get the AEW Continental Challenge Cup quarterfinals. John Moxley versus Jay White. This was a very good match in my opinion. Dueling chance for both men as they circle the mat, each looking for an advantage as they go for a test of strength. John Moxley starts to take over, but before Jay White does a back bridge, powering back to his feet before taking the champ to the ropes. Break is made before they lock up once more. This time, John Moxley has a hammerlock cinched until Jay White gets to the ropes. He gets back to his feet, but is sent down nearby the champ, and Jay White takes a breather on the outside for a moment as we go to commercial break. John Moxley has Jay White by his arms in the ring now, but the Switchblade fights back to his feet, only to be taken to the corner with a release German suplex by John Moxley. Jay White slowly gets to his feet before John Moxley lands some shots on him. Jay White stops himself at the ropes for some shots of his own, sliding to the corner off the Irish whip before taking the champ down with a DDT. He takes John Moxley to the corner for a fury of strikes before John Moxley starts fighting back to send Switchblade into the turnbuckle. Jay White ends up taking John Moxley to the outside, where the champ avoids a dive to take Jay White to the barricade. Jay White turns things around as he brings the champ back into the ring, sending John Moxley to the corner with a snap suplex before pulling him in for a cover for a 2 count. He sends John Moxley up for a Nagata-style submission trapping the arms, but John Moxley managed to roll through. It says John Moxley managed. It says John Moxley managed to roll through. So that's the part I was at. Yeah. So it says right here. So it says right here. It says John Moxley managed. It says right here. It says John Moxley. But John Moxley managed to roll through to get to the ropes for a break as we go to commercial break. Both men back in the ring and trading shots now with John Moxley on the ropes as Jay White charged at him. The champ sends Jay White to the outside and drives him through the ropes, favoring his arm from damage done earlier. He brings Jay White back in and goes up top. but Jay White dodges him and lands a cutthroat suplex not once but twice. He goes for the cover. I'm sorry, not for the cover. He goes for a third and connects, but John Moxley finds a grip for a bulldog choke. Jay White gets to his feet for a fourth suplex, which is good for a near fall. He brings the champ to the corner for a superplex, but Jay White took some of that as well. He looks for a Blade Runner, but John Moxley fights out of it, only to be intercepted on the ropes by Jay White. He responds in kind, going for a sleeper into a rear naked choke, but Jay White rolls through and gets the champ's shoulders on the mat for a close 2 count. Jay White pops back up and catches John Moxley with a Blade Runner, but the impact sends John Moxley rolling through the ropes to the outside. Before Jay White can make a cover, he leaves the ring to bring the champ back in, and this nearly costs him as John Moxley goes for a rear naked choke, but Jay White fights back to his feet, only to get caught with a Death Rider DDT as John Moxley picks up the win. The winner by pinfall advances to the semifinals, John Moxley. This was a good match between Jay White and John Moxley. Maria Shafir gets to the ring to check on John Moxley, who acknowledges how tough an opponent Jay White was before the Death Riders leave through the crowd. Just as the Dogs go after Jay White, Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly come to even the numbers up, but they're taken out by a returning Gabe Kidd. Roger Strong heads to the ring and doesn't get a much in before the Dogs take control until the trio champ and Brodito and Adam Page make their way out. The Dogs escapes the ring in the wrath of the champs. Heyman Page gets a mic looking to address the Dogs, but it's interrupted by Ricochet as he GOA and the Lethal Twist step out onto the stage. Ricochet finally lets Page finish what he has to say. Page says he has his pals are the trio champs, and there's no way they're missing Wembley Stadium. He calls out anyone who wants a shot at the titles, telling them to meet the champs under Wembley Stadium, which arcs that dusk, because the champs will be waiting. Backstage, we start to hear from Maya World after her victory before Willow Nightingale interrupts. She congratulates Maya World on retaining the TBS title before telling her that she is making good on a promise, offering World a shot at the Women's World Championship on Collision. She starts to address Mercedes Moné, but Maya World stops her to say that it might be her facing Mercedes Moné at All In, which ends the conversation as Dynamite rolls on. Back at ringside, MJF personally Spanish translator Jonathan Cross has a statement for the one true champion as he runs down Andrade. Cross tosses the statement aside, saying in English I'm not sure if he means himself on MJF is a real Latino man compared to El Adil. He starts to leave the ring when Andrade Adil comes out attacking him, as we find out this is now a match. So we get Andrade Adil versus Jonathan Cross. This was a squash match. He sends Jonathan Cross into the ring before blindsiding him with a Dia los Muertos, followed by a DM for a quick victory. The winner by pinfall, Andrade Adil. This was a squash match, what it was. Andrade Adil grabs a mic after the match, running down MJF in Spanish before calling him out before a fight. After a video starts earlier, we get MJF's music on, only for that video to start back up, reveal that MJF is not in Baltimore, but back home. He runs down Andrade Adil ahead of their Casino Gauntlet match, saying he isn't on their level of the one true champion, but Andrade promised to take MJF down to earn a shot at the world title as we go to commercial break. So we go to commercial break. We head backstage for a second big interview of the night ahead of the Women's World Championship match at AEW All In. So we get Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné speak with Renee Paquette. And this backstage interview, I ain't gonna lie, this was a pretty good backstage sit down backstage interview. The champ and the challenger are in separate rooms after Willow Nightingale was attacked by Mercedes Moné recently. Mercedes Moné talked smack about this, but Willow Nightingale addressed the connection she has with the fans. Whereas Mercedes Moné tries to chase that affection in the title. She likes her chance going into AEW All In. Mercedes Moné talks about Willow Nightingale smiling at her being hurt in New Japan, eventually calling her a bully for what she did to her before. Things get heated very quickly to where Willow Nightingale decides this interview is done. She and Mercedes Moné take their microphones off before seeking each other out backstage, which quickly turns into a brawl to ringside. Officials try to break things up as the two women go at it. Things start to settle down before reaching a boiling point as security pulls Mercedes Moné out of the ring, taking her up to the ramp as Willow Nightingale music hits. Backstage, we hear from Prince Nana and Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland wants to make sure he heard right when Paige called for anyone to come get their shot at the Trio Champ, telling Paige to be careful what he wishes for. Back at ringside, Nigel McGuinness makes his entrance for our next match, quarterfinal match. We get an update on his ankle, which we know is less than 100% going into this bout. And Hexy Zero, it says Hexy Zero makes his way out to get this match underway. So we get the AEW Continental Challenge Cup quarterfinals. Nigel McGuinness versus Hexin Zero. And this match right here, this was a decent match in my opinion. Hex Zero is focused on going after the injured leg of Nigel McGuinness, who we catch telling the luchador that if he keeps going after the ankle, he will go after the mask. And Nigel McGuinness makes good on that as he takes the female champion down, tearing at the mask before Hexin Zero breaks free. Hexin Zero backs to his feet, now wrangling the arms of Nigel McGuinness before transitioning to the front headlock. Nigel McGuinness forced a rope break, only for Hexino to slam the ropes against his bad leg. He takes control as he sends Nigel McGuinness to the mat hard for a 2 count before we go to commercial break. Both men are on their feet as they trade strikes. Hexin Zero brings the straps down on his slight as he calls for Nigel McGuinness to take another shot and trips Nigel McGuinness on his bad ankle. With that, he brings Nigel McGuinness to the corner, but the former Ring of Honor World Champion fights back until Hexi Zero takes him around with a swinging hammerlock. Nigel McGuinness breaks free and brings the luchador to the corner for a Tower of London, but Hexin Zero breaks free. Nigel McGuinness transitions to a London dungeon, but the hold is broken as Hechin Zero pulls him down by the ankle. He starts bending the leg around before Nigel McGuinness to break free. Hechin Zero goes for a single leg, but gets caught with a hard kick, and Nigel McGuinness traps him with the guillotine and body scissors. Hechin Zero tries to break free off the hold, but fades quickly and is out cold as the referee calls for the bell to end this one. The winner by pinfall advancing to the semifinals, Nigel McGuinness. This was a decent match for what it was. Nigel McGuinness used the ropes to get to his feet, with a medic checking on him as commentary hypes up Nigel McGuinness joining on John Moxley in the semifinals as well as the remaining quarterfinals match set for AEW Collision. But there we go to a video package hyping up the TNT Championship match between Darby Allin and Kevin Knight at AEW All In. We head to ringside after what should have been the end of the time slot as Tony Schiavone introduced the TNT champion himself. Kevin Knight comes to the ring, telling Tony Schiavone to leave as he addresses Darby Allin ahead of their Falls Count Anywhere match at Wembley Stadium. He talks about Darby Allin's comments last week, calling the challenger out to have a chat with him. Darby Allin gets to the stage, but is cut off by Kevin Knight, who demands security check on him to confirm he didn't bring any supplies or weapons. He says the people need to shut up when the champ is speaking, starting to run Darby Allin down some more as Darby Allin starts walking down the ramp, where he gets blindsided by the appears to be a pyro malfunction. This allows Kevin Knight to get the jump on Darby Allin, bringing him to the ring to prop a chair against his head for a coast-to-coast drop kick. Kevin Knight leaves the ring with his title as a medic checks on Darby Allin. A stretcher is brought out as Stephen Borden Jr. checks on his friend as well. The crowd chant Darby Allin's name as we go to commercial break. The way that that's exactly how Jeff Hardy did. Darby Allin did exactly how Jeff Hardy did. When Jeff Hardy was on SmackDown, he came out doing his entrance as pyro malfunction hit him and he was rolling around the entrance ramp. That's exactly how Darby Allin did. That's how Darby Allin did when he came out as pyro malfunction. Pyro hit him and he rolls on the entrance ramp. And then Kevin Knight hits him with the TNT champion. And then Kevin Knight climbs on the top rope and hit coast to coast on Darby Allin. I already know that at AEW All In, Darby Allin, you better go get your get back on Kevin Knight, bro, to become the new TNT champion. That's all I gotta say. But I hope Darby Allin is okay. Alright. So we go to commercial break. We get a replay of what happened moments ago with commentary stating that Darby Allin sustained burns from the pyro mishap as he is brought to an ambulance. Kevin Knight steps in to mark Darby Allin and Stephen Borden Jr. The latter being held back as we head back to ringside for our main event. There's a lot of smoke left over in the arena from the pyro earlier as Don Callis' family makes their entrance. The Young Bucks make their way out next, followed by Kenny Omega, who finds himself in a bit of confrontation at the goal position with Ospreay to get this match on the way. So we get the main event of the evening. So we get a 6-man tag team match. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus the Don Callis family, El Clone, Mark Davis, and Jake Doyle. And this main event match right here, I ain't even gonna lie to you. This main event match was pretty fun for what it was. A fun 6-man tag team match. We start off with El Clone and Nick Jackson, who gets the upper hand before tagging in Matt Jackson. The Young Bucks fans off and approaching Jake Doyle and Mark Davis as well before sending El Clone and Mark Davis as well before sending El Colon to the outside. El Colon makes his way back into the ring, but is taken to the corner where Kenny Omega attacks him before getting a tag. He attacks Mark Davis and Jake Dole on the apron before triple teaming El Colon with the Young Bucks. Only for Dunkzilla to come in. He gets sent to the floor outside before the Elite send El Colon crashing into him. Matt Johnson with a tag, and he looks for a DDT, only for El Colon to counter with a knee strike. Jake Dole and Mark Davis sends Kenny Omega to the mat. Matt Johnson off the apron before triple teaming Nick Jackson. The Don Callis family stands tall as we go to our final commercial break of the evening. Things start to break down in the ring as Matt Jackson fends off Jake Dole and Mark Davis. El Colon and Kenny Omega gets tagged as the world champion, lands a hard chop on the luchador, followed by a neck breaker for a near fall before he gets broken up. The Young Bucks come in for an assist, and El Colon finds out he can't escape as Kenny Omega drops him to the mat. The Young Bucks keeps Jake Dole and Mark Davis away as Kenny Omega gets a cover for a 2 count. And the Don Callis family escapes to the outside, only to be taken out with a triple dive by the Elite. El Colon is brought back in the ring, but he pops up from his leg lariat by Kenny Omega, who drops him again for good measure. And comes Mark Davis and Jake Dole off a tag made to the ladder, but they each get super kicks and a snapdragon suplex, leading to a super kick party. Ring is cleared out aside from Jake Dole and Kenny Omega, who lands a V trigger. He follows up with the one-winged angel, keeping Jake Dole down for the win. The winner by pinfall, the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. This was a fun 6-man tag team match. The celebration is cut short as more of the Don Callis family comes out for a sneak attack. Lance Archer set up the Young Bucks for a double chokedown, while RPG, Vice, and Mark Davis look to send Kenny Omega through a table set up at ringside before Adam Copeland comes running to the ring. Adam Copeland makes his way down as well. Less quickly as the crowd sings Adam Copeland's theme, a cappella style. Copeland is laid out by Brian Cage as able to get some shots in on him of his own. This ends when the Young Bucks collide with Christian Cage by mistake, leading to an argument with Adam Copeland before the family goes back at it. This leads to a brawl heading up the ramp and into the back, leaving us with Kenny Omega alone in the ring with a mic. But Will Ospreay makes his way out with a mic as well. He says Kenny Omega told him he have some words after the match. So let's hear it. Will Ospreay is still angry about his kid being brought up, but Kenny Omega says he's only has one thing to say, and to the likes of Will Ospreay. Security, get this man out of the arena. A couple of guards come out to try and escort Will Ospreay out as Kenny Omega continues to run him down. But Will Ospreay had enough as he charged into the ring to take the champ down. Security is barely able to hold him back, and Kenny Omega decides to take matters into his own hands as he lays out Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega drags Will Ospreay over the apron with a promise of one last lesson, telling Will Ospreay to get one last look at the title before dropping his challenger through the table with a one-winged angel. Kenny Omega has a laugh about this as we look at the fallen Will Ospreay, to bring AEW Dynamite to a close. So yeah, let me read you guys the quick results for AEW Dynamite. Trios match was Ospreay, Francisco Akira, and Henner defeated the Don Callis family, Brian Cage, Rocky Ramon, and Lance Archer. That was a fun 6-man tag team match. TBS champion Fatal 4-Way match. Maya Rowe defeated Presso Phone, Hikaru Shida, and Chris Statlander. Good match, what it was. AEW Continental Challenge Cup quarterfinals. John Moxley defeated Jay White. That was a good match as well. Andrade Adil defeated Jonathan Cross. That was a squash match. And AEW Continental Challenge Cup quarterfinals. Nigel McGuinness defeated Hexero. Decent match. Trios match. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks defeated the Don Callis family, El Clone, Mark Davis, and Jay Doll. That was a fun 6-man tag team match. And AEW Dynamite goes off the air. But anyway, let me give my opinion what I think about AEW Dynamite. Now, AEW Dynamite was a good show for what it was, and I give it a 7 out of 10. If you guys enjoy my AEW Dynamite review on highlights, make sure you guys please take the time out of your night to full watch the entire video from all the way from the beginning on towards the end. Hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more every week wrestling content I do on the channel. Go check out my WWE NXT review on highlights I do on the channel. And go check out my WWE Raw review on highlights I do on the channel. And go check out my WWE SmackDown review on highlights I also do on the channel as well too. But I want you guys to have a great night. Stay safe and always stay positive. Kept your crew, kept your kings, kept your club. Bullet Squad. Too sweet. I'm out of here. Gang. Mwah. Bang. Too sweet. Gang. And I'll see you guys for my upcoming world premiere for my AEW Dynamite review on Hindsight around 5 o'clock a.m. on YouTube. And I will see you guys tomorrow live on Twitch for some retro games as well too. Which I will be playing Capcom. I will be playing Capcom tomorrow. So that's all I gotta say from here. But anyway, I want you guys to have a great night. Stay safe and always stay positive. Kept your crew, kept your kings, kept your club. Bullet Squad. Too sweet. I'm out of here. Gang. Mwah. Bang. Too sweet. Gang. Make sure you guys like the video. Share the video with your friends and family and tell them that I'm on the road to 11K before December. Hit me up in the comment section what you guys think of AEW Dynamite. And I already said it, what I said. AEW Dynamite was a good show for what it was, and I give it a 7 out of 10. But anyway, like the video, share the video, and leave your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. The comment section is yours. And that's all I gotta say. Enough of me yapping. Have a great night, and stay too sweet. And I'm out of here. Gang. Mwah. Bang. Too sweet. Gang. And I'll see you guys tomorrow live on Twitch for some retro gaming. Stay too sweet. And I'm out of here. Gang.